Welcome to the Worth Listening podcast, where we focus on having positive and productive conversations around money. I'm your host, Lauren, a 4-time Olympian and certified financial planner. On this show, my guests share their money stories. Everyone has a unique story and experiences both wins and losses when it comes to money. My intent is to give listeners something they can relate to, something that builds their courage to be open and take control of their own money story. When I'm not creating a great show for my listeners, I'm running my company, Worth Winning, where I help individuals and families organize their finances. Check us out at worth-winning.com. All right, now on with the show. Welcome to 2022. I am so excited for everything that this year has to offer each and every one of us. 2021 is done. It's over with. Maybe it was great. Maybe it wasn't so great. No matter what the situation, it is behind us and we have all this opportunity and we can pursue the possibilities of what is going to happen in 2022. So let's get excited. I don't know if you're excited or not, if you're a little hungover from the weekend. You're like, I got a case of the Mondays or the Tuesdays or whatever day you're listening to this podcast. Don't let that new year, new energy momentum fizzle out. I'm so excited to be bringing you all new stories, to be sharing people's experiences, their goals, their memories, all through telling their money story. My wish for each of you as listeners is that you make the best of 2022 and that you go out and you find the resources necessary to be able to do what you need to do. And I hope that this is one of many resources you're going to use to help you win with money. I thought I'd just be quick today and give us a rundown of a few tips to get you going for the new year, and then also kind of what we're planning. So one of the things I'm super excited about for the podcast this year is we're going to do a Millionaire Series. So many people get hung up on the amount of money that others have versus the amount they have and want to have. And while it is important to be intentional about what you earn, what you save, how you spend, it is not all about the numbers, which is exactly why this podcast exists. But I know that people want to know what millionaires are doing and how they became them. So I will be bringing on a series of millionaires to tell their money stories, and I think you're going to enjoy it a lot. Of course, we're going to have other guests come on and share their money memoirs as well, because no matter where you are in the journey, it is important to verbalize it and to be able to share it with others, because saying it out loud makes it real, gives you accountability, and it lets others know that they are not alone. So we are sticking to sharing money stories of people from all different walks of life. So let's get started with these tips. It's a new year, new week. We've hit the ground running, back to work. Maybe you had some time to do some reflecting. Maybe you didn't. Hey, I just want to tell you, slow down. We've got 300 and some odd days before this year is over. And while it may feel like you got to do everything in the moment, you do not have to. If you didn't do your reflection over the holidays, set aside some time today, tomorrow, this weekend, whatever you need to do to be able to do some reflecting so you can still set your 2022 up to be awesome and reach your financial goals. All right, so here's my few tips. The first one is look over last year's spending. Now, that may be looking at a budget app that you have. It may be looking at your checkbook. It may be looking at your bank accounts. Most places now have a year-end summary, credit cards, all of those different things. So there is some way that you can look at your spending over the last year to get a good idea of what your spending look like. This is so powerful. In fact, I think I'm actually going to do an episode where I go over my budget. I've done one in the past, but I think it's so important for us to kind of have that review and understand, how do I want to make adjustments? Because ultimately your budget is yours. No two budgets look alike, but taking a look and kind of being analytical about what you did versus what you want to do and how you want to reprioritizing things is key. So one of the things as you look over that spending is subscriptions. I know iTunes still gets me from time to time. And so I have a reminder in my phone to log in and just double check, click that little button in your profile, go over there and see what subscriptions you're signed up for. What did you get 7-day free trial of that you never used after the 7 days or probably didn't even make it through the 7 days? I don't know how it works if you're an Android person, but I'm sure there's the same sort of setup. Go view your subscriptions and see if they are still serving you. There's some app I heard about. I can't remember the name of it, but there's definitely an app for everything now. And there's one that will help you decipher whether or not you're still using subscriptions, and you can simply click a button and cancel it. So maybe you want to look into that as well. All right. Another important thing for you to do in 2022 is check out your beneficiaries and get your estate planning documents in order. This was my mission for all of my clients at Worth Winning this year. We didn't get everybody done, but we got a lot of people done. And in light of what 2021 and 2020 brought us, really scary time for many people. Many lost loved ones to COVID, and death is happening all the time. We are losing loved ones for various reasons. You don't want to be unprepared when the inevitable happens. Unfortunately, I've recently learned that I'm not immortal and that none of us are. Those movies tell us that that's a possibility, but I don't believe it's true. So we want to be prepared in the best way possible. So did you have kids this year? Do you need to update your beneficiaries according to that? Do you need to update your estate planning documents and get some guardianship in place? You do not want crazy Uncle Bob to be raising your children. Then you better get it in writing that you want your best friend Mary to do it instead, should you pass away. Maybe you got married and you need to update things so your parents are no longer the beneficiaries. Maybe you got divorced and you want to get your spouse off your insurances and things like that. Lots of different things to be thinking about as it pertains to beneficiaries passing away and getting these documents in place. And it's a huge piece of your financial puzzle. So take some time, decide what you're going to do, and get things in motion. My third tip for you would be to start planning for large expenses. So not just like a vacation or a home down payment. Those are kind of like the big things we think of when there's large expenses, but there are these things that are kind of upcoming that can break your budget because you're not going to miss them. So when I think of it, it's like baby showers. You hear your friend is pregnant, you got 9 months to prepare, really probably 8 months until the baby shower, but it's not something that was necessarily on your radar until they shared that information with you. You know you're going to fly across the country. You know you're going to get a really dope gift. Plan for those things in advance. And they are kind of medium to large expenses in the sense that a flight and a hotel and a gift for someone that you really care about. Or milestone birthdays. That's another one. You got somebody in your life that's 49. Well, guess what? They're turning 50 soon. And maybe they don't have a clear plan for what they want to do, but you know that it's a big milestone birthday and you don't want to be left out. So even if they wait to the last minute, you don't want to be doing your financial planning in the last minute for their milestone birthday. If nothing pans out and they don't decide to do anything that's going to be really expensive for you, then guess what? You got extra money saved, or you can get them a really nice gift. And to circle back to the home buying piece of it, like I said, down payments are something that we know are a large expense and people get really motivated. And especially over the last 2 years, they've been saving like crazy to get into a home. And there's been a frenzy of people that are interested in purchasing. But one of the things you don't think about as a large expense is the furniture. You got to get a furniture fund in place. So you're saving for your down payment. You should also have an emergency fund, but you need a furniture fund because what happens? You get the home, you're so excited, and then it's empty. And so now you're burning through cash to kind of fill it up to be able to host Thanksgiving or host Christmas or have an event and have people over and it not look empty. Get the furniture fund in place. That way you can start to spend and start to make your house feel like a home. The next thing I think you need to think about is credit cards. So this kind of goes along with that last year's spending. Credit card companies offer you a year in review. But specifically, what I want you to be looking at is the fees you paid for your credit card. So if you scroll to the bottom of your statement, this is what financial planners do. Most people don't. They just like, how much do I owe? When is it due by? But at the very bottom, there's always a summary every single month on what you spent for the year in fees and what your interest rate is. So no surprise, most credit cards have double-digit interest rates, usually in the 25 to 30% range. And so you definitely want to be looking at that, getting a good understanding for what kind of fees exist and what your interest rates are. And this is a great time to call your credit card company if you're in good standing and say, hey, I've been a loyal customer for X number of years. Could you please lower my interest rate? Well, what's the point of that, Lauren, if I pay my bill in full every month? The point of it is you never know when something's going to come up. And while I highly recommend having an emergency fund, if poop hits the fan and you need to put something on that credit card, you'll be thanking yourself for a 13% interest rate instead of a 23% interest rate. So we're always planning ahead for what we can't see coming. And that's why it's important to be aware of what your interest rates are. But like I said, also importantly in that bottom part of the statement is the fees. So people are all about the rewards nowadays and credit card hacking and get these points and do this. But if you're not able to pay your bill in full every month, then it generally is not going to make sense to be chasing reward points because the fees are going to outweigh the rewards. If it's a year-end statement, you should be able to see all of this. But even on a regular statement, you should be able to see what it looked like. So pull out your December statement and see what rewards and stuff you had for the year, but also what fees you paid. All right, I just got a couple more things for you. Taxes. It is a new year, which means 2021 is done, and you need to account for all you made, all you spent, and give a little bit to Uncle Sam. So if you are just starting your 2021 tax planning in 2022, you're like, oh, I had to wait till the year was over. Guess what? You are a little bit late to the game. So don't be surprised if some of the good certified public accountants or enrolled agents are gone. Many tax professionals have decided not to take clients after a certain time period because they don't like the last minute aspect of people jumping on board and during tax season and adding to their overall workload. So the good people have a system in place and they say, you have to be on by this date. Not saying that there's no good people available at all. So you do want to be mindful that availability may be limited if you are not already working with an accountant or an enrolled agent. And I keep saying those two terms because they're important to me. So a certified public accountant has education around tax preparation, as does an enrolled agent. There is also tax preparers, and the education they receive is limited. It's not continuing education. Basically, you and I could decide we are tax preparers today, open a tax prep business, and get to it, not having learned very much. That's risky because, one, I can't represent you in tax court if I am just a tax preparer. And it is more likely that they're going to make mistakes and that their expertise is going to be limited, which may mean you're not getting all of the tax benefits that are necessary versus those who have had proper education, proper certification, proper continuing education, because there's been a lot of tax changes over the last few years. So you definitely want to think CPA or enrolled agent as you go out and look for someone. The other thing about taxes is I would love for you to revisit your withholding. So maybe you got married this year and things are going to change and need to be updated. Maybe your earnings changed. I hope you got a really big raise because you did such great work in 2021. You're going to need to adjust accordingly for that as well. And another thing I see that's popular is stock options. So stock options are vesting, IPOs are happening. This is going to be a big tax issue. You do not want to be trying to handle this on your own. So please, please, please go reach out to an accountant or an enrolled agent. Last but not least is your credit report. I recommend that my clients go and pull their credit report at least 3 times a year. You can do so on freecreditreport.com. Yes, they will try to sell you other stuff, but it is actually free to pull your credit report on freecreditreport.com. The importance of doing so is to be able to look over your credit and understand what's going on. So it's kind of like your report card. Are payments being reported as paid in full? Do the payments match your recollection? Did someone steal your identity? Is there stuff on your credit that is not yours? That's why I recommend doing it 3 times a year. They offer you one from each of the 3 companies. So do TransUnion earlier in the year, then do Equifax later on, and then do Experian at the end. So now you got 3 different reports so you can see how they're reporting things differently, but you definitely want to make sure that there's nothing on there that's not actually supposed to be as you kind of continue to monitor your situation. So those are my get started, be awesome with money in the new year tips. Hopefully you find them helpful. As the going away present, I'll also give you the 5 things I'm kind of focusing on from a win at life perspective in 2022. So I made an Instagram post about it. You can check me out at Lauryn C. Williams on Instagram. But it is 1, to take care of your health. And if you listen to the last episode of the year, you will have heard me talk about wanting to be better with my health. And I'm definitely committed to doing that in 2022. Also, give freely. I think sometimes we're giving from a place of scarcity, and it's limiting in both your life and the lives of those that you can impact. So there's a saying that God loves a cheerful giver. No matter who or what you believe in, being excited about giving and giving freely is always going to result in more coming back to you than you could ever expect. Third, understand that time is precious. So much so that you need to govern yourself accordingly. I also talked a little bit about this, like I said, in the last episode of the year. I put too much on my plate. And with time being so valuable, I am going to be hardcore about saying no a lot more frequent and really investing my time in the things that are going to help me grow, help me learn, and help me continue to make the impact and truly live a life that is in line with my values going forward versus being pulled in different directions and living the life that someone else is telling me based on their schedule and their timing. So along the lines of the estate planning and the death, we don't have infinite time on this planet. So you need to make the most of the time that you have. Also on my list of things to do this year, assume less and learn more. I love learning about different perspectives and different cultures and different income levels and different, you name it, just bring all the diverse things over here to me because I love, 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 love to learn, but I'm still learning and growing, as is everyone. So I'm definitely going to be focusing on asking a lot more questions. Like I said, assuming less and learning more as I encounter people day to day. And last but not least, surround yourself with dope people. There's a popular saying that I'm probably going to mess up, but it's like you're the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most, something like that. It's okay to reevaluate who you're hanging out with. It doesn't mean that you need to completely ditch a person. It doesn't mean you have to have a terrible, angry breakup. You're not my friend anymore, or you're a loser at life. Like it doesn't have to be negative. People can drift in different directions, and you can really start investing your time with people who are going to improve the person you're trying to become. So make sure that you are being very discerning in who you're choosing to hang around, especially as it pertains to what your money goals are. You want people that are going to help you reach your goals, going to encourage you. They're going to say, hey, stay in. Let's make something at home instead of eating out because I know that you're trying to save money. You want that kind of person on your team. I had the very fortunate experience of hanging out with a friend that I've known since I was 12 years old for the new year. And one of the other people with us captured us coming down the mountain, and he's holding my hands where we're taking a snowboarding lesson. And I thought it was just so cool to see, like, when they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, this idea, like we always talk about like bringing each other up and climbing mountains together, but you also need help descending the mountain. And so having that support system and the person that's going to encourage you and make sure that you don't slide down off the mountain and pick you up when you lose your balance is so, so, so important. So make sure that you are surrounding yourself with super dope, positive, professional, loving, caring, inspirational people in 2022. I am so excited for what this season has in store for me and for you. And I can't wait to bring you some really good episodes of the Worth Listening podcast. As always, if you want to be a guest, if you have suggestions for other guests, you got topics you want me to talk about, please don't hesitate to reach out. Podcast at worth-listening.com. You can find all the episodes if you want to go back into the archives or the different platforms you want to check it out on, worth-listening.com. And of course, we appreciate the reviews. We're not going to probably be the #1 podcast on Apple this year. I didn't put that on my list of goals, but the more that we share these messages, the better people can be all across the world. So if this is something you enjoy listening to, then make sure to share it with someone else and to review it so that it can be found by others more easily. All the best for this year. Let's go get it.